What is up, you guys? Sam Dog, Infamous 253, coming at you with Dallas Stewart from the speakerphone. Dallas, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yep. Last week, week 12, we went 12-4, the best we went all season. Granted, there's some games that we wish we had gotten right, but yeah, unfortunately, there's that. But 12-4 in week 12. So
Solid week.
yeah, that's our best week so far this season. But now we're on to week 13 of the 2022 NFL season, and that brings us to our week 13 picks. First off, we're going to start with our game. We got the Seattle Seahawks going to Los Angeles to take on the Los Angeles Rams. Granted, we dropped that fell for the trap last week against the Raiders, but I got to give them the props they deserve with the way that they attacked us. And, it sucked the way it was. But we got to ask ourselves another question, though. Can Geno Smith win from behind and in crunch time with the game on the line is a question we need to start asking ourselves. Because how many times has he done that this season?
Yeah, he's had a few opportunities.
Yeah, two opportunities.
And he hasn't gotten it done.
No, he hasn't. So 0 times he's done that, whether from behind or tied up, but mostly from behind. He has not won a game from behind. So there are a lot of concerns going on with this, especially being 6-5, and now we're coming into the biggest part of the season and arguably the toughest part of our season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing we're going to have to start asking ourselves as Seahawks fans, do we potentially use that first pick in the draft now? If Geno can't seem to do it from behind or in crunch time with the opportunities given it, because he had 2 opportunities that fell on both, do we possibly use that pick on a quarterback?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that's been a thought on my mind that me and my dad talked about after that disappointing loss that disappointing loss on Sunday to the Raiders, was the fact that Geno had 2 opportunities to win that game and failed on both of them. But meanwhile, we got to talk about the Rams. Big news today. Big, huge news. Aaron Donald officially ruled out.
Yeah, that is big news. He's been a thorn in our side.
Yeah, ever since he came into the league. I mean, this will be the first ever game that he's missed due to an injury in what should be an easy Hall of Fame career. But not only that, you got Cooper Kupp out. You got they lost Allen Robinson for the year, and you got Stafford out too. Rams are missing a bunch of players.
Is Stafford officially out?
I don't know if he's officially out, but we know they're missing some key weapons. This has to be a week that the Seahawks need to take control of and bounce back on. This is a big opportunity for a good bounce back. Margin for error is we cannot have any room for a margin of error this game, especially if the Rams are banged up. This is one you have to try to take advantage of and go down and finally get a win in SoFi against the Rams. It's tough to say because the Rams have been the bane of our existence for a long ass time though. But if the Rams are that banged up, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take a shot on the Seahawks to finally get a win against the Rams in SoFi, especially the Rams are banged up. I'm actually gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take another chance on my Seahawks, but they better not freaking let us down.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Seahawks as well. I don't think the Rams can do it.
And plus, we're going to be
being that injury riddled.
Yeah, and plus, we're going to be going to that game very pissed about the way that we dropped that game against the Raiders last week.
Yeah, if you drop this one, it's really time to start to panic.
Yeah, and pretty much time to start talking about the upcoming draft, too.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep that thought in mind about the quarterback thing that I was talking about with my dad recently back on Sunday. We got to keep that in mind.
Because he still has 3 really tough games left. Chiefs, 49ers, and Jets.
Yeah, pretty much that. And Carolina could potentially be a tough game too.
Yeah, they better not sleep on Carolina.
Yeah. Whew, all right. Up next, we're going to go to the Thursday night game. We got the Buffalo Bills taking on the New England Patriots. Both these teams played on Thanksgiving. Bills barely squeaked out of Detroit. That surprisingly was the best Thanksgiving game of the entire Thanksgiving Day slate, was that Bills-Lions game.
Yeah, it was. But Patriots-Vikings I would say was a close second.
It was indeed. I was surprised at how close that was. Granted, the Vikings were able to squawk it out at the very end. Jefferson had another big game for the Minnesota Vikings as well. AFC East rivalry, tomorrow's game. This one, we'll see how close this one is. The Bills have been kind of struggling a little bit, but they've been able to still pull out some of the games. Granted, I know they lost that game to the Vikings when they blew it. Basically, you know, when Josh Allen fumbled that quarterback sneak, and you know, I mean, the Bills have been having a bunch of question marks, and New England, you know, granted, you know, for the record, they're still in the mix in that AFC East race.
Yeah, but definitely in the mix in the wild card race.
Oh, for sure. I'm gonna go ahead though, and I'm gonna take the Bills.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bills, even though they have not looked good for about a month now. And they easily could have lost to the Lions, but they were able to get it done. And they know they need this game bad to keep pace with the Dolphins.
Exactly.
In the AFC East.
The Dolphins playing surprisingly good too, man. All right.
And to have really any shot at maybe tying the Chiefs for home field advantage, passing the Chiefs for home field advantage, they need this game.
Yeah. Whew. Up next, we got the Green Bay Packers going to Soldier Field to take on the Chicago Bears. The Green Bay Packers last week played on Sunday Night Football, and they were hanging in there with Philly all right, but Philly ended up winning that game 40-33. And meanwhile, the Chicago Bears lost to Mike White and the New York Jets.
Yeah, it really wasn't close, actually.
Yeah. Whew. Say what?
They were without Fields, and it made a huge difference.
Oh, big time, you know? But anyway, this is a pretty easy one. I got the Packers completing the sweep of the Bears if Fields is still out. I'm taking the Packers.
Yeah, give me the Packers to complete the sweep and Aaron Rodgers to continue his dominance over Chicago in what has been a really lost year for Green Bay.
Yeah. Up next, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Atlanta to take on the Atlanta Falcons. The Steelers won on Monday Night Football against the Indianapolis Colts, while the Atlanta Falcons last week, the Falcons were in a close battle but ended up losing 19-13 to the Washington Commanders and Taylor Heineke. Commanders really staying in that race, and now we need the Commanders to start losing, especially if we want a chance at that wild card Seahawks-wise, just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this time the Falcons are taking on the Steelers at home in Atlanta. Pittsburgh. What was the final score of that Pittsburgh Colts game? I didn't really watch it.
I think it was 24-17 Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh only won by 7. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the Steelers to get another win here over the Falcons. I'm taking Pittsburgh.
Yeah, this is a tricky one.
Yep.
Pittsburgh, I guess, but I don't feel good about it. And this game could go either way.
Yeah, it's both these teams are disappointing too, so it's a really tough one to say. No, granted, we did lose to Atlanta though.
But Atlanta still has a shot in that dumpster fire NFC South.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise, they do. Up next, we've got the New York Jets going to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. The Jets with Mike White beat the Chicago Bears, and the Vikings barely squeaked it out on Thanksgiving against the New England Patriots. And, you know, this game could be a surprisingly good game, too. But, you know, I mean, granted, is Mike White going to be starting again for the Jets since Zach Wilson got benched?
I would start him again. They looked pretty good last week.
Well, let's be real. They were playing Chicago.
Yeah, they were playing Chicago, and it was without Fields.
Yep, completely different animal in Minnesota, and that's why I got the Vikings winning another one. Give me Minnesota.
Yeah, give me the Vikings to get to 10-2.
All right.
I believe they might be able to clinch the NFC North this week.
Yeah, they might.
I think they need maybe a Packers loss or a Lions loss. I believe they can clinch the NFC North this week.
Yeah, and of course they got to win their game against the Jets.
Yeah.
All right, up next we got the Jacksonville Jaguars going to Detroit to take on the Detroit Lions. The Jaguars, surprise, surprise, upset win over the Baltimore Ravens. And the Lions, they hung in there pretty tough with the Bills on Thanksgiving. Man, Lions playing really tough for Dan Campbell and playing some good inspired football for Dan Campbell. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, man, how many upsets have they pulled this year? Is this just the biggest one they pulled? Just their win against the Ravens?
This was probably the biggest one, but they this year.
Yeah.
And I know they beat the Colts the first time.
Yeah, Doug Peterson.
Come back against the Raiders.
Yeah, they did have
this
this.
was their biggest upset of the year, though.
Yeah, that makes our loss to the Raiders look really bad, especially if the Raiders lost to Jacksonville.
Yeah.
That's our. But yeah, this game, man. This is a surprising. This is going to be a crazy one, in my opinion. Granted, both these teams don't really have that high expectations, but the Lions are playing a little bit more inspired for Dan Campbell, and for that, I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to take Detroit in this game against Jacksonville. I'm taking Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going to take Detroit to get to 5-7, both between two teams that are improving. I could say that.
Improving.
Both these teams, I think, the future is starting to look brighter.
Yeah, so there's some improvement, but got a long way to go to build off of that improvement. That's for sure, though. But I think the Lions are a little bit more inspired with the way Dan Campbell's coaching that team, and I got to give Dan Campbell his props.
Detroit could be a sleeper team next year.
Maybe. Good point, Dallas. Up next, we got the Tennessee Titans going to Philly to take on the Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles barely squawked it out against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday night with a 40-33 win. And meanwhile, the Tennessee Titans last week the Titans lost to the Cincinnati Bengals again. Rematch of the divisional game. Just cannot seem to get past Cincinnati.
Nope.
Yep, and now A.J. Brown revenge game in Philly. And I think A.J. Brown is going to get the rock quite a bit in this game. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles to get a win against the Titans, and A.J. Brown's about to put on a show and get his revenge. I'm taking the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Eagles to get to, would it be 11-1?
I think so, yep. The Eagles are rolling in the NFC, rolling on their way to a number 1 seed.
Yeah. That wasn't a good loss for Titans losing to the Bengals at home without Mixon and Chase.
Yeah.
I thought they'd be able to get it done.
Yeah. Up next, this is one everybody's been waiting for. We got the Cleveland Browns going to Houston to take on the Texans. The return of Deshaun Watson after that long 11-game suspension. Deshaun Watson finally will be making his Cleveland Browns debut, and it will be against his former team, the Houston Texans. The Texans last week, who pretty much got... Who did the Texans... Who got waxed? Obviously, they were getting waxed by Miami. That was a given. But anyway,
Miami kind of definitely took their foot way off the gas and gave them some feel-good points late.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Cleveland Browns last week. Kept the upset
against Tampa.
Yeah, that's right. Jacoby Brissett beat Tom Brady. Wow, add Jacoby Brissett to the list, and Jacoby Brissett beat the man that got him a Super Bowl ring in Super Bowl 51. That was another big upset.
And the one that started for him during the Deflategate suspension.
Yeah, when they shut out the Texans, and I think he had a couple rushing touchdowns in that game for the Patriots when they beat the Texans during the Deflategate suspension of Tom Brady. Surprise, surprise, Jacoby Brissett beat Tom Brady. But now it's going to be the Deshaun Watson show in Cleveland, and Deshaun's going to carve up his former team big time. I'm taking the Browns.
Yeah, I'm taking the Browns to get back-to-back dubs. Houston, they're just absolutely abysmal. I think they're a guarantee for the number 1 pick at this point.
Big time indeed. Up next, we got the Washington Commanders going to MetLife Stadium to take on the Giants. The Commanders barely squawked it out against the Atlanta Falcons, while the New York Giants... last week were... Who did the Giants play last week?
They lost to the Cowboys in the
that's right,
middle game.
that's right, Thanksgiving. That's right, that was the boring game of Thanksgiving where the Giants just got rolled by the Cowboys. Well, the Giants were in it for a little bit, but then the Cowboys just got it together and they finished out the game and got a dub against the Giants. But, Commanders are...
for a backdoor cover.
Yeah, but the Commanders, they're starting to get hot even with Taylor Heineke, but we need the Commanders to start losing Seahawk-wise if we want a chance in that NFC wild card. At this point, at the playoff start of the day, all 4 NFC East teams would be in the playoffs.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm taking the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Commanders. I think the Giants are starting to prove that, I don't know, that they're fraudulent. fraudulent.
Oh,
They,
yeah.
they still need a quarterback.
Yeah. All right, up next, we got the Denver Broncos going to Baltimore to take on the Baltimore Ravens. The Broncos lost to Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers. Thank you, Carolina.
Carolina?
Yep. Bumped us up to now because of virtue of the Russell Wilson trade. We are sitting on the number 4 overall, on the 4th overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, thanks to Carolina beating the Broncos with Sam Darnold. Meanwhile, the Ravens had that disappointing loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Surprise, surprise. You know, this has to be a get-right game for the Ravens, especially with how bad the Broncos are playing. You know you're going to want to get this right. I got the Baltimore Ravens doing us a favor and possibly making that draft pick a little higher, because that pick can only go up from where we're at right now. I'm taking the Ravens.
Yeah, give me the Ravens. The Broncos just, they're in really bad shape right now.
Yeah, teammates are turning on Russell Wilson in Denver.
It's just been a nightmare season for them.
Lamar, do not F this up. You F'd up against Jacksonville. Lamar Jackson, don't F this up for us.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Up next, we got the Miami Dolphins going to Levi Stadium to take on the San Francisco 49ers. The Miami Dolphins took care of their business against the Houston Texans. Tua is just slinging the rock. Meanwhile, the 49ers last week barely squawked out a 13-0, but it managed to get the shutout 13-0 over the New Orleans Saints at home. CG Ruthless was at the game. Shout out to him. Have to definitely give our boy CG a little shout out for being at that game. 49ers definitely are now in major control of that division ever since we laid that clunker against the Las Vegas Raiders, letting them win on us with that big Josh Jacobs touchdown run in overtime. Like, you know, I hate to say it, but Miami has a big chance to possibly get a big statement win here against the San Francisco 49ers, you know. This is going to be, surprisingly, I think this is the game of the week.
Yeah, it should be.
Because
I think this should be the Sunday night game.
This should be the Sunday night game. I don't know why the hell the freaking Colts and Cowboys are the Sunday night game. Pretty disappointing in the schedule makers for that one. Whew, you know something? If there's anything, this is going to, you know, I'm actually going to go ahead. If they really want to make the statement and try to hold up to try to at least get a high seed for the in the AFC playoff picture, Dolphins, this would be a big statement win if they could get it done.
Yeah, it would be.
You know what? I mean, granted, I know the 49ers, you know, they're rolling, and granted, they did look a little rusty against the New Orleans Saints. Granted, they did shut them out 13-0, but they're still getting it done too. You know what? What the hell? I'm going to go with the Dolphins.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice and go with the Dolphins to get 6 in a row. I think they can get it done in Santa Clara.
Yeah, and plus, you know, you got Raheem Mostert going for a revenge game and Jeff Wilson Jr. going for a revenge game.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins really want to win the AFC East. That would be their first division title since 08.
Yeah, since Brady tore his ACL with the Patriots. But you know, if the Dolphins win this game, you know they'll prove they're for. Dolphins can show they're for real if they win this game.
Yeah, they've looked good since Tua came back from injury.
Yeah. Up next, we got the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Chargers squawked out a 1-point win in the desert against the Arizona Cardinals, 25-24. Raiders, well, we already know. Still pissed about that one, man, with just the way that we dropped that game. But, you know, got to give props to the way that they attacked us with Josh Jacobs' his running attack. They were getting like 5 to 6 yards a carry, and just Devontae Adams' distraction thing really just threw us off our game, man.
Yeah, and we had no answers for Josh Jacobs.
Meanwhile, the Los Angeles...
Max Crosby when we were...
Yeah. I mean, Abraham Lucas probably played his worst game as a Seahawk, especially with the way that he got destroyed by Crosby, especially in the end when we gave up those sacks on those 2 opportunities that we had to go down and pretty much win the game. Like I was talking about earlier with that issue with Geno Smith not being able to do it at all.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Chargers are starting to get healthy. And they did manage to pull out a 1-point win against the Arizona Cardinals, though. Granted, we know the Cardinals are the butt of the NFC West and are most likely going to be finishing last in the NFC West. And Chargers-Raiders, it was a good game last time around. Chargers ended up winning that first game around. This time they're playing in Las Vegas, and like I said, Chargers are getting healthy, but the Raiders, even with Josh McDaniels, Granted, I don't know how much more longer Josh McDaniels will last. As it's probably a one and done in Las Vegas. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take the Chargers to complete the sweep of the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Chargers as well. I think the Raiders are due for a little bit of a letdown after back-to-back overtime wins on the road, and this would pretty much end any wild card chances the Raiders have if they drop this one.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. AFC Championship rematch. Kansas City Chiefs last week got it done against the Los Angeles Rams, and meanwhile the Bengals got it done showing that they still own the Tennessee Titans from that divisional round. And, you know, I bet the Chiefs have probably had this one marked on their calendar ever since the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going back to Cincinnati where they lost earlier in the regular season last year before that rematch in Arrowhead Stadium where obviously Andy Reid should have kicked the field goal before the halftime, which those points lingered the biggest, which was why they lost that AFC Championship to Cincinnati. You know, Chiefs are gonna want to definitely get some revenge for that, and I think they're gonna do it. I'm gonna take Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City to get revenge for the AFC Championship. They're on a mission to get that number 1 seed.
Yep. All right. Up next, we got the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Dallas Cowboys. The Colts lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Cowboys took care of their business. Granted, it was a little rough in the beginning, but in the end, they were able to get it done on Thanksgiving and took down the New York Giants. Lock of the week. Cowboys roll the Colts. Lock of the week.
Yeah, lock of the week. I think that Monday night loss pretty much was the nail in the coffin to the Colts season.
Yeah.
They should be a blowout. If this was close, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, crap. I accidentally put that on twice, but that's the Sunday night game, right?
Yeah, that unfortunately is the Sunday night game.
Why the heck did I put that on twice?
I don't know why they're not flexing that one.
Yeah, sorry.
They need to.
Yeah, I accidentally put that on there twice, so my bad, guys. I accidentally put it on the paper
There's
twice.
2 other games that they could have put.
And they decided to put Colts and Cowboys just to mess with us. That's kind of messed up. Darn it. Why did I put that twice on there? All right, Sunday Night Football, and that's the Sunday night game. And last but not least, the Monday night game. We got the New Orleans Saints going to Tampa Bay to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who lost in overtime to Jacoby Brissett and the Cleveland Browns. And the Saints got shut out by the 49ers, 13-0. It's crazy to think that Jacoby Brissett beat Tom Brady, the guy that he used to back up in New England, before he went to Indianapolis and jumped a little bit over league by going to Indianapolis and Miami and now Cleveland, which now he's about to be reduced to backup quarterback again with Deshaun Watson coming out now. But you know, the Buccaneers, they're going to be really pissed about dropping that game to the Browns in overtime, and I think they're going to take it out and complete the sweep of the Saints. So I'm taking Tampa Bay.
Yeah, give me Tampa Bay to complete the sweep of the Saints and stay ahead in the crappy NFC South.
Yeah, I can't believe I can't believe I added Colts Cowboys twice. I wish I didn't pay attention. Yeah. Yeah, typo. My bad, guys. So, but that's pretty much all the games, though, right? We didn't miss any?
Yeah, I think the only teams that were on a bye are Arizona and Carolina.
Yep. Thank you, Carolina.
Yep, thank you, Carolina.
All right, those are our Week 13 picks. We got Bills over Patriots, Packers over Bears, Steelers over Falcons, Vikings over Jets, Lions over Jaguars, Eagles over Titans, Browns over Texans, Commanders over Giants, Ravens over Broncos, Dolphins over 49ers, Seahawks over Rams, Chargers over Raiders, Chiefs over Bengals, Cowboys over Colts, and Buccaneers over Saints. And those are our Week 13 picks. Drop your picks in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and we'll get back to you for the post-game video after the conclusion of the game this coming Sunday. Hopefully, we can take advantage of the Rams' injuries.
Yeah, we need to.
And Gino, if it has to come down to that, you have to come up big in crunch time. Just saying. Just
We
saying.
need to get that taste out of our mouth from last week.
Oh, big time, man. I'm still pissed about that. I would love to spit that one out this week against an injury-riddled Rams team. All right, catch y'all later. If you ain't with it, you ain't infamous. And as always, go Seahawks.